Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is my initial thoughts video for Milim. When I did my Rimuru initial thoughts, it was definitely like, since we got the banner like really quick, so I didn't really have too much time to digest it. Definitely something I overlooked, and I'll mention in this video, is that Rimuru looks really strong right now. People are using it in World Arena, and a lot of cleave players are using him for high damage. And something I overlooked in his kit was that his S3 also applies regular crit damage on top of fixed damage. So when I theory crafted his build before, I was just thinking, you know, bulk, speedy to get the turn cycling, and then just to use the fixed damage as the damage. But he can actually be like a damage dealer, quite a good one, because his damage mods are S3 as a 1.8 times mod, S2 is 1.6. So overall, he's not something you really kind of just like brush aside on top of the stuff that he already does, like copying buffs on his S2 and his S3. So Milim, I'm glad I'm releasing this video and recording this video slightly later. Had more time to digest, although I feel that she is more, out of the two when they were initially introduced, I felt that she is more obvious in terms of like how strong she will be. We already have the damage mods, which I'll talk about as we go through the skills. But she's definitely more of a commentary on the state of the game. And again, you know, I mentioned this in multiple videos if you watch me on YouTube, that, you know, Smougate has balancing issues. They know it themselves, and they know that they have created monsters in Rem and Violet, made Chloe, of course, you know, dominating pretty much for two seasons in World Arena right now, and then Landy on Guiding Light. When they buffed that Guiding Light, that was very powerful, and of course it helped sell the Landy banner. Well, the guiding light is a Cerise banner, but it helped sell that combo limited banner that we had, because everybody wanted the guiding lights. Regardless, Milim is designed, you know, straight up to counter those four things I said: Guiding Light, made Chloe, or revivers in general, Violet, and Rem. She's very strong, and I definitely have to say that out of the two, even though if you watch me on YouTube again, I did end up pulling up to an S copy of Rimuru, but mainly because I got really lucky. I would say Milim, though, you would want to try to chase that triple S. If you're free to play, you know, do what you can, but the imprint concentration on her is very big. The base attack there is 1359, which if you have 18% imprint concentration there, that's an additional 244 attack. That's huge. That is one of the biggest in terms of, I think, what we have right now. I think her imprint concentration has the biggest effect in terms of an attack percent compared to every single hero at the moment. That's including Arbiter Vildred, which is about like 1250 attack. So the extra like 100 attack she has on top really scales that 18% quite a lot. So if you have the ability, the triple S in her seems to be far more worth it than Rimuru. And Rimuru at this point, again, I said that because the fixed damage and the S3 applying that damage, he's able to like nuke out an A-Robbie and stuff like that, because that fixed damage really helps scale. But I feel that even in the long run, the triple S on him is still not that important. So I know that as I'm making this video, and as this video will be released on YouTube, both banners, well, Rimuru's banner will be out, but both banners will most likely be together, unless you're watching this really late. She is a fire mage, and she's Cancer, and at the moment we have only one, I believe only one 5-star mage that's a Cancer, and that's Fire Tenebria. Back in the old day, she used to be a cleaver, not like a debuffer, because her damage is really good. She has 23% crit rate, as you can see here with Milim as well, and then the high attack that I've already mentioned. This was before imprint concentrations were introduced into the game. People did build Tenny as a cleaver, and we actually didn't have immunity set back then, so she was like a cleaver plus defense breaker, which is pretty nutty. You have 4,895 health, which means that she's not the lowest compared to like a Vivian Sagittarius with a 4,500 health. but it's also not the highest like a Taurus, which is about like a 5,500, which is like, it feels really bulky. She doesn't have that, but she does have 110 speed and 652 defense, which is fairly average for a mage. I would say that puts her around, like, I would say pretty average. Like I said, 23% crit rate, dual attack chance is unchanged, but she does have an imprint release of dual attack chance of a 3%. Now, this will not apply to herself. So in terms of if you use, let's say, a Lilius or anyone to S1, you're not gonna draw that dual attack into her. So that's not applied to herself, but it does apply to everyone else. I suppose it can be useful in some scenarios. I can't really think of one. I would prefer the imprint concentration for her, because again, she is a damage dealer. She won't struggle as much as other single target extinction heroes, because she does have access to AoE, even though her AoE is based off focus. So we'll be talking about the S2 first. So S2, Dragon Eye Milim. So at the start of the turn, start of the battle and end of the turn has a 70% chance to grant Dragon Eye Milim to the caster for 1 turn. Skill enhancing this will make it 100%. When the caster is granted Dragon Eye Milim at the start of the turn, dispels stealth from all enemies. So if she has it, it dispels the stealth from all enemies. That means Landy is exposed as soon as she gets her turn. Okay, so this means that if your Landy is on Guiding Light, and you run it into her, the Guiding Light will still be available on the first turn. It's only on when the caster is granted at the start of the turn, it dispels the stealth. So I'm pretty sure, because it's at the start of the turn, I'm pretty sure that means that Landy is not exposed right off the bat as like a passive. Alright, or any stealth hero. Milim does have to take the turn. But because she is granted this undispellable, if you can look at the bottom description there, it cannot be dispelled. It's an undispellable buff. Then Landy will be exposed as soon as she gets her turn. Now there is something that can stop this based on the reading of this. And I think they designed it this way on purpose. At the start of the battle, at the end of the turn, has 100% chance to grant it. This means that Archdemon's Shadow, which is very, very niche right now, but very powerful actually. She's actually getting more powerful as more and more heroes have these kind of power crept passives. Now, when I did rate Archdemon's Shadow, I was saying that, you know, if she can seal, she's actually very, very broken. And I have seen a lot of players, and myself, I've built her again. I built her in the past, never really used her, and then I kind of, you know, removed her. But I think with Milim, with actually just a ton of heroes, even Rimuru will actually suffer from Archdemon's Shadow. Archdemon's Shadow might profit from this. Her value actually might go up. Because if you have, at the start of the battle, it cannot be dispelled, but if you seal Milim, Milim will cease to get this. Now the seal from Archdemon's Shadow is 2 turns. So that's long enough unless you have a cleanser to remove that. So I do believe that Archdemon's Shadow's value actually goes up, and Archdemon's Shadow actually, really, if you look at it, like uncounterable S3 and stuff like that, is pretty powerful in terms of like the Violet meta, the Rem meta, and stuff like that. So it is a side topic. This is talking about Milim, but I'm just saying that the undispellable Dragon Eye Milim buff still has that flaw, because they wrote this, I believe it really is on purpose, to have to like reapply. Start of the battle, end of the turn, so kind of like Remnant Violet's evasion, but it can be sealed. So once that is sealed, a lot of what's written in the passive, or everything that's written in the passive, is disabled. So she will not be able to dispel the stealth. She will not be able to also do Dragon Buster, which is the next line. So first things first is the ignore effect resistance, as in I think the dispel stealth from enemy, ignore effect resist, which makes sense. That's the only thing that requires an effectiveness check, so that's important to know. When focus is full after attacking, consumes all focus and activates a Dragon Buster. So what this will look like, practically speaking, would be like Green Bologna. So Green Bologna in the past, I mean, a lot of people don't use Green Bologna anymore, but if you know how Green Bologna works, is that on a counter, on an S1, it gains focus. When the full focus is full, she does the S2. And it will be the same thing here for Milim, which is kind of a nice addition to see. I kind of like that interaction with Green Bologna. This means that Milim can now then really benefit from, one, her artifact, which I'll talk about, or two, from a counter set. Because you'll be able to do the Dragon Buster, and Dragon Buster says attacks all enemies, so she has AoE reach. So something like top model Luluka does not have that ability, but she does have that ability. Of course, they have different abilities, but I'm just saying that this is very nice to have. Oh, sorry, and actually, something I should note, of course, is the Dragon Eye Milim has a hit chance increase of 20% and evasion by 20%. So once you have that, you immediately have something like a Moonlight Dreamblade, Shepherd of the Hollow, and she's a mage, but then you also have hit chance. So very powerful and very packed. And like I said, Archdemon Shadow then now can really profit, especially if you can land the seal. Archdemon Shadow will be a very nice hero to have, and also a nice hero to build, in case you need to run into Milim and all this other stuff. Like I said, one of the benefits I think from Archdemon Shadow is that as Smilegate is power creeping heroes, a lot of it is based on passives. If you notice, a lot of the new heroes right now is introducing the S2 first, because the S2s are now really I think the hard selling point of the hero. It's not as good to just have a straight up damage dealing S2 now. It's all about passives and applying damage in the passive itself. So Rimuru has this, she has this as well. But anyways, I keep on jumping topics because there's a lot to talk about. Attacks all enemies, so she has reach for Specteni. She can remove souls. Very nice to have. And like I said, the thing is, like, if she counters or even on her turn, she gets full focus after attacking, she'll consume it to do Dragon Buster. So that means that this Dragon Buster can actually be applied, I believe, on the S3 and the S1 both together. So whichever one reaches focus first, she'll apply Dragon Buster. So her output damage seems to be pretty fast, pretty high. It seems to be about a 0.5 or about a 1 times mod actually for the S1 with a power of 1. So it's very strong. AoE 1 times mod is not, it's not low at all. There is no Mola to increase the damage here, so you are getting a 1 times mod. But like I said, if you build her as a damage dealer, her Dragon Buster is going to do enough, especially for an AoE. And she could self-attack buff too, so that's the other thing. So skill 3, so Dragon Fear, it does require 2 focus, so it takes 5 focus to unleash Dragon Buster. It requires 2 focus and requires 3 souls. It is a 4-turn cooldown skill if you mold it to +3, and of course you want to max mold this. The raw damage is much necessary for what she needs to do here. It releases mana to attack the enemy, single target attack, inflicting extinction when the enemy is defeated, so extinction skill. So very similar to top model Luluka, both are mages, quite comparable. Increases evasion of the caster for 3 turns, so an additional self buff. And of course with her Dragon Eye passive, this means that she has an immediate 70% evasion. Very good, very good. So she's like basically Remnant Violet without needing the artifact to do it. Of course, an evasion buff can be dispelled, but it's quite hard to dispel unless you have Violin, which again, Archdemon Shadow's kind of go-to artifact. Maybe sometimes that Abyssal Crown. But I think if you are building Archdemon Shadow to counter Milim, I'm already thinking about countering Milim because Milim seems to be very strong. Okay, this is why I keep bringing up Archdemon Shadow. When the enemy is not an elite boss monster, damage sharing effect is ignored. So again, it's not the exact same as top model Luluka here, but top model Luluka does have the damage share ignore on the S1, but this is applied on the S3. So more likely than not, you are going to be nuking out your target. Her S3 mod is looking at a 1.7 times mod, very strong, and a 1 times POW. So very good and very scary. The S1 attacks the enemy, recovering health proportional to the damage dealt before, increasing attack to the caster for 1 turn. So you attack the enemy before applying the attack buff, so that means of course you won't unless you have an outside attack buffer, of course you won't be siphoning back the damage on this turn that fast. The attack buff is for 1 turn, but if you are built on a counter set, and let's say she's, you know, quite low on health, then what could happen is that you could counter, heal a bit, increase attack buff, and then on her turn you can S1 to heal as well, but with an attack buffed S1. And I think that this is very important that they do say that the healing is happening before the attack buff, and it's only a 1 turn attack buff. Now again, 1 turn attack buff is not bad. This also means that your attack buff is applied for an S3 in case you want to use her on Toggle's Ancient Book, or there's another book holder, because as you can see there, the soul burn effect is 20 soul burn, grants an extra turn, so she can basically hit S1, do a bit of damage, maybe soften up the hero, increase the attack buff, and then you can go into the S3 for the extinction skill. So very, very nice to have. Of course, the raw damage there is another 30%, so same as the S3. Very, very solid all around. So talking about her artifact now, because of the nature of her evasion qualities, self-buffing evasion, and the Dragon Eye, it's very likely that they're not gonna hit you. In terms of like, okay, how can Green Violet dodge at a 55% dodge rate, and then she not dodge at 70, right? Maybe we'll have the Rylet syndrome again. Just never dodges, but the chances are you're gonna dodge quite a bit. When the caster suffers a non-critical hit, has a 30% chance to counterattack. So the idea is obviously that if you evade, you have a 30% chance to counterattack. This is max limit broken, of course, so you have to keep that in mind. I do believe that if the calculation is correct, at a plus 15, it would be somewhere in between there. So like it wouldn't be like 20, it would be like 22% or something like that. 22.5. So just keep that in mind. Until Smilegate had been transparent and found out that the counterattack set was actually a 30%, we would have been looking at this and being like, well, this is OP, right? Like, you know, counter set is 20%, this is 30%, this is OP, and this is like really good on her. I usually rate artifacts based on not just the hero that can use it and how well it is for the hero, but the versatility of it outside of the hero itself. So in case, you know, some people are thinking, you know, put her on Symbol of Unity, so you know, guarantee, well, a 15% chance for Violet to still dodge you, but it's a high opportunity for you to kill the Violet straight up. And Violet can't hit her back, so that's one benefit of that. And she can lifesteal too. But so like, yeah, so are you going to use this artifact on her? And I have a tough time thinking of other mages that really benefit from this. Someone in my guild mentioned that Dizzy on this artifact, Injury Dizzy, but I think he's joking. Injury Dizzy on this artifact, so because Dizzy can apply blind. So the idea is the same, but at least you can counterattack but AoE, but then maybe injury set Dizzy with this artifact. I don't know. In terms of like, you know, some of us are whales, some of us have limited resources. If you have limited resources, in terms of Rimru versus her, I said this before, and I think in the Rimru artifact, in Rimru video, but triple S'ing her in terms of the imprint, consider yourself lucky. If you don't max limit break this artifact right away, I don't think you're at a big loss at the moment. Like I said, it's 22.5% to counterattack if you have 1 copy, and that's a plus 15. I mean, every limited artifact, I mean, if it's bad, Smilegate seems to buff it, so it's kind of like, you know, if you get the best case scenario is that you get both like triple S, Milim, and a max limit broken of this artifact. I myself, I'm not quite sure how I want to build her yet. I played around with counter set build, just because she has life stealing ability on the S1. Oh, I should actually mention on the S1 there, I didn't read the mods. Quite important. The S1 is a 1.1 times mod, so that's definitely power creep. Most heroes, unless they're really special, have a 1 times mod, but it seems that she has a 1.1 times mod. Even Spirit Eye Celine, which is the new ML5 coming, she has a 1x mod, so that's like kind of normal. Anything lower than that, if it's like a HP scaling, it makes sense as well. But a 1.1 times mod is very, very good, and plus it's a 1x POW. So it's a strong S1 skill. You're not going to be lacking damage from it. So therefore, I felt that I mean, she could, because she has lifesteal on the S1 as well, she could be built with a bit of counter in mind. I don't necessarily think that just because you have an S1 that can heal, you have to have counter. Because speed set, because of all the evasion that she can get, speed set can work just as well. Just think about, you know, lower bulk lifesteal Rylets now that are pretty popular. That they can work. You can heal quite a bit. So she does heal based on damage dealt. The damage dealt is 20% lifesteal. Okay, so it's 20% of the damage dealt in terms of the lifesteal effect. So it's lifesteal set, pretty much. So as you can see, Milim is very, very packed. If you have this artifact on her, it's like she has a counter set, she has a lifesteal set, she has Moonlight Dream Blade, well, not Moonlight Dream Blade, but like, you know, Shepherd of the Hollow, or any 20% dodging artifact. She has Oath Key built in. So there's a lot of flexibility in this hero, and like I said, if I'm building her on a counter set and I don't care about Symbol of Unity, because, you know, there's only one copy of Symbol of Unity, I have so many heroes I feel like need Symbol of Unity, perhaps I'll put her on this artifact, depending on my luck. But it could work quite well. It would be two separate rules in terms of the counter attack calculation. So it would be a counter attack from the counter set would apply whether or not they miss, whether or not they crit or anything. But for this one, it's conditional to evasion or non-crit. So you just have to keep that in mind. But they're both ruled. So the chances are, if you have this artifact on, you have it on a counter set, there's a quite high probability for you to counter. If you don't counter, you actually really, the situation's really worked against you in terms of the RNG. This is a screenshot of just the part of her animation. I think that she looks really, really cute, at least in this screenshot, this exact frame. I would have to say, comparing the two heroes, I think that Milim is more hype for me. In terms of, I feel that she needs the most investment. She's a plus 15 hero right off the bat, right? You want maximum damage on the S1 for the lifesteal. You want maximum damage to extinct your target if you can extinct them. You want maximum proc rate on the S2. So she's a plus 15 hero. If you're still thinking about Rimuru right now, I would say this right now. I don't think Rimuru is worth plus 15ing at the moment. I myself am not doing that myself, but if you have a limited Mola, Milim is definitely the one. She's also the one that you want multiple imprints. Artifact is just on the I'm not quite sure. Let me know in the comments down below. I've already seen some people say that, oh, you're overlooking how good her artifact is, but let me know what you guys think. I already said the use cases for this artifact. It is usable. Oh, I actually forgot. Toggle Ancient Book honestly could still work for her if you build her high speed. So she can work like a top model Luluka, but for longer fights. So you could have her on Toggle's Ancient Book as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about her, what you think about this artifact, and where do you think else this could be used in terms of mages. I can't think of one. Outside of herself and maybe that Dizzy play. But anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it, found it informative. I'm gonna end this here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.